imagine writing a memoir. I think, for me, one of the concerns was to think of, I mean, in fact, my father and his mother and his father came on the ship together, and they were among the 86 that were held off from coming in first into New York. And
but
then
in the
into
novel,
Mexico.
Itzaak comes alone.
And Itzaak comes alone, and it let me explore some of the questions that that I don't think I could have explored if they were together.
What kinds of questions?
Well, for example, one question was the question of what was it to be a young, modern European boy and want that kind of freedom, want to get out, where the parents, in the case of my grandparents, there was a way in which they felt that even though they got here, they were still completely pining for their prior life. And that kind of provincial sort of experience. And I guess there's a way I could have thought about that in memoir form, but for me to enact it in the novel, to have Itzaak alone and to have him making the choices that the war demanded on all of them, it gave me a kind of freedom to explore questions that I think were present. You know, what is it to be a refugee? I mean, the other question was, I wasn't entirely interested in writing. You know, I think anyone who has a story that comes up out of the Holocaust at this point has to ask, do we need yet another story that comes out of that? And when I began, and I first conceived it as a book that was just letters, you know, that it was, in my imagination, the book was Dear Eleanor Roosevelt, and it was young Itzaak writing to her, and it kept feeling small. And part of, I think, what felt small was that I hadn't, at that point yet, imagined the way that book, that boy as a refugee could parallel, could speak to, could thread into and weave back between current refugee concerns, you know, and they appear all through the book, whether it's, you know, the Lebanese hairdresser or Carmen, the housekeeper, who's Salvadoran, and the question of what are the choices people make in war.